Hi, this is Matt Thompson, and I wanted to come on and make this video today about our court system and specifically about some things that I've encountered recently. But before this happened to me, I've been seeing, many instances all across the United States of courts really abusing their power, and it's almost operating like a cabal with authorities and courts acting together to violate the rights of the citizens and give them no recourse. And sometimes, a lot of these cases I look at, and that the decision of the courts seem to be completely devoid of any connection with the Constitution or the any of the administrative laws even. And so that's certainly what's happened to me. Um, I don't want to get into the case too much that I've covered in other videos, but I was trying to help my friend Jeff Winehouse, who was in prison, and he was being held without being allowed the opportunity to even call his lawyer for long periods of time, which is clearly illegal. And when I questioned the warden at the prison, he had me arrested for trespassing at the prison, even though I left when he asked me to. And when I was arrested, they took my devices, my iPhone and my iPad, and they kept them. And they told my wife that they had a search warrant. And the loss of my devices, all my work, all my contact, everything was on there. And it caused me to lose my contract jobs that I had, and caused me enormous damage. And it's like losing your whole life. Even though they only had them for 2 weeks, and then they gave them back. But by then the damage had already been done, and of course the damage is still being done to my reputation, and my background checks and everything make it difficult for me to do anything. And I think in our we're supposed to be a nation of laws, and the Constitution was designed to limit the authority of the government to impede on an individual's rights, and much of the statutes have been written to restrict the authorities' ability to infringe on people's rights. Uh, and the authorities were all taught, and we all believe that we're to submit to the authorities when they try to arrest us, and that if there's any issues, well, then we can take them out up in court when they exceed their authority. But in actual practice, you can't, which I'm going to try to demonstrate here. So when I think we all know the issue. Let me see if I can get myself out of the way here. I'm always getting in my way. Uh, I think we all know the issue with the Fourth Amendment that was passed or ratified when the Constitution was ratified. Part of the Bill of Rights, and the text of the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. Well, clearly in my case, they took my devices. They never did any of this stuff. They just took them. And this is the statutes in Missouri. Just kind of scroll through here a little bit. There's just a whole lot of restrictions on exactly what and how they can do it, and it's all meant to comply with the Constitution. It talks about, who can apply for a search warrant. The application has to be in writing, has to state the time of day, has to be verified by oath or applicant, be filed in the proper court, has to be signed off by a judge, it has to be in writing, it has to identify the person, place, or thing, and it has to be signed off by the person who the items have taken. And a lot of specific requirements here that the authorities only have the power to take items under these conditions. And clearly there's no doubt that they violated all of these conditions, and that they knowingly violated it. because they indicated to my lawyer, to my wife, to myself, and others that they had a search warrant when they knew they didn't have a search warrant. So, here clearly they violated my rights, and it's caused me enormous damage. And so I went to court to try to recoup those damages, and went to court in St. Francis County, and I filed suit on behalf of myself and attended pro se. And I think a lot of the things, if I'd hired a high price lawyer, the result would have been the same. I just would have paid more money. They would have come up with all kinds of excuses to extend and divide and extend until I could no longer afford to pay the high price lawyer. But I attended pro se, and the judge, the judge, made a big issue out of that I couldn't know what I was doing. I wasn't filing proper procedures, or how could I know what I was doing without being pro se? And but I simply read the law to the judge, and this is Article 1, Section 22A of the Missouri Constitution. The right to trial by jury, qualification of jurors, the right to that the right of trial by jury is heretofore enjoyed shall remain inviolate. That means they can't violate the right to a jury. It's in a civil case. Talks about civil cases, criminal case. It doesn't matter. The right to trial by jury in Missouri shall not be violated. If you go back here to the Missouri statutes. Is it in the Constitution? But it's in the statute. Right of trial by jury. Right to trial by jury is declared by the Constitution or is given by statute shall be preserved to the parties inviolate. In particular, any issue as to whether release, composition, or discharge of plaintiff's individual original claim was fraudulently or otherwise wrongfully procured shall be tried by a jury unless waived. So there's only 4 conditions by which I could waive the right to my jury trial: by failing to appear, by filing with the clerk saying that I waived my right, by consenting in court openly that I waived my right, or by entering into trial before the court without objection. So they try to get these motions to dismiss, and they try to get me to argue against the motion to dismiss. And if I do so, they'll declare that I've entered into trial without objection. And if I don't do so, they dismiss the charges, but because they declared that I didn't respond to them. And it's not only in the Missouri statutes; it's in the Missouri Constitution. It's also in their own court rules. This is the Supreme Court rules of the state of Missouri. Rule number 69, right of trial by jury. Yeah, see, I keep getting in my own way all the time. There we go. It says right of trial by jury is inviolate. That means it can't be violated unless I waive it by those same 4 conditions it talked about in the statutes. So it's in the Constitution. It's in the Missouri statute. It's in the Supreme Court rules that I have a right to a jury trial and that a judge can't waive it. But yet he waived it. And he was not only did he waive it, but in my final hearing, which was Friday, he never gave me the opportunity to speak whatsoever. He's obviously on a first name basis with a lawyer for the city. They had obviously been speaking about this together and working on this together. They were finishing each other's sentences, and never allowed me to speak. And all I'm doing is reading the law. But I'm not supposed to be able to do that because I'm not an attorney. But had I had an attorney doing it, it wouldn't have made any difference. And this is the kind of thing that goes on over and over and over again. So why do we have laws? If the courts can violate them at will, and the authorities can violate them at will, and the court supports them. So this is where we're at. This is a minor little trivial issue. Shouldn't even be an issue. Um, but this kind of thing is causing damage to people all over the place. And we're supposed to be a nation of laws, and we have laws. But the authorities and the judges can abuse those laws at will, and who's going to stop them? So thank you for your time, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.